Good morning, everyone. We're continuing here in the laws of Kashrus of Rabbi Yamin Forst, and today he has a very good halachic question. She'elas Isser HaKli. What is going to be the status of the kli, the vessel, or the utensil that was cooked, Bishul Akum, where the non-Jew cooked in it? What is the level of kashrus or not kashrus of that kli, of that pan? Im Bishul Nochi Meichel Asher Shaykh Lechlal Isser Bishul Akum. If you have food that was cooked inside of a pan or a pot that falls into the category of Bishul Akum, the vessel that was the food was cooked in also becomes also prohibited. Unless he writes over here one heter that you might have, that if the majority of the food that's in that kli is not Bishul Akum, so let's say, for example, you had 60% carrots and you had maybe a 40% meat, so it could be that you could be lenient over there in that case and say that since the majority itself was not Bishul Akum, therefore it's going to be okay. However, ask your local Orthodox rabbi. In this vessel that has the Bishul Akum cooked inside, so the tam davar aser, the taste of that which is aser, which is prohibited, has been absorbed by the vessel. Hagam shelasu bishul akum ela mishum hischantnus, even though that the only prohibition of bishul akum is because we're afraid that in the end it's going to lead to marrying a non-Jew. Ubevade ein chashash hischantus al yedei tam meichal anivla bichlin. And the truth of the matter is, you can't put that flavor of we're afraid you're going to get married to a non-Jew into the vessel. When I have treif that goes into my pot, so the flavor of the treif goes in to the walls of the pot. What's the flavor over here of the concern that maybe eating the food that was cooked by a non-Jew is going to lead me to get married? It's not the same thing as a treif, as non-kosher food. However, once that we say, though, that the food is going to be also prohibited because it was cooked by the non-Jew, it's like any other not kosher food. Just like any other not kosher food treifs up the pot, it makes the pot or the pan that is being cooked in not kosher because it's nivla, it is absorbed into the walls of the kli of the vessel. The same thing over here. Now, there are those halachic opinions that hold that in actuality it doesn't make the vessel that you cooked in also prohibited. And once you clean it off, you don't even have to kasher it. Because the concern that you have about Bishul Akum is maybe you're going to come to marry this person or you'll come to marry a non-Jew. You can't, that doesn't get absorbed in the walls of the vessel, and therefore there wouldn't be a problem. However, in the Shulchan Aruch brings down that the halacha is like the first opinion, and that is that the pot or the pan that it was cooked in becomes treif. It's not kosher right now. However, koshering the vessel that became treif through Bishul Akum, we can be more lenient in the way in which we're going to kosher it because it's not a prohibition that comes from the Torah. Therefore, if you had a earthenware vessel that had food that was cooked inside of there and the food was not kosher, there's no way to kasher that vessel normally. Nevertheless, be'isa bishul akum, when it comes to bishul akum, as long as you put it into boiling water 3 times, that's going to be enough to kasher it. Again, normally you can't kasher it, but since that the level of not kosher is very different over here by Bishul Akum, we allow you to kasher that kind of a vessel. So too, let's say you have a vessel that it's a very delicate and we're afraid that if you put it into boiling water, it's going to end up treifing up, it's going to end up breaking that vessel. You won't be able to use it at all anymore. So therefore, mutar lishtamish b'olacha avar me'es la'es. Says Rav Forrest, therefore, in this case, wash it out and let it stand for 24 hours without usage, and then even without kashering it, you'd be allowed to use it. And the same thing we have like by a frying pan, for example. A frying pan, normally the only way that you could kasher a frying pan is if you take fire and you heat it up to a high level that it's going to burn out all the things that are inside that pan. It's a very complicated and tricky way to do it, and normally the fire will end up destroying a pan like that. So in that case, you could do the same thing. You could take the boiling water 3 times. You put it in the boiling water, 1, 2, and 3, and that's how you could kasher that as well. We can be more maker, we can be more lenient in the way in which we're going to kasher the vessels that were used and cooked with for Bishul Akum. Have a wonderful kosher day.